What a weekend it was in the Scottish Premiership with huge head-to-head clashes at both ends of the table. It was a weekend where people thought the wind might have a big say, but I think in the end, Roger, the thing that blew people away most was that incredible save from Craig Gordon at Dens Park. We'll get onto that later. So as I said, plenty to get through. Huge games up and down the country. Myself, Jonathon, Moar, Roger Hannah, head of sport here, and Kris Boyd, of course. Kris, good to see you made it back down in one piece after the windy conditions yesterday.
Just, I must say, the roads were not great at all. Obviously, there was a lot of snow winter, but it all melted. There was a few roads actually cloosed, so we had to take our time. It was a long shift yesterday. It was a long day, but home safely.
Travel and weather interlude into the
home safely. My weatherman now as well. Weatherman now as well, friend.
Giving the people what they want. Well, let's start at Pittodrie then. For the second time this week, Rangers getting a 2-0 win over Aberdeen after the win at Ibrox on Tuesday. Kris, we were sat here at the start of December after Rangers just drawn with Falkirk. They'd drawn with Dundee United. I'm looking ahead to this run of fixtures they'd been on, going to these tough venues, Easter Road, Tynecastle, Celtic Park, Pittodrie, playing Motherwell in there as well, St Mirren, among others. They've come through it winning all of those games apart from obviously the trip to Hearts. How impressed have you been with how Rangers have navigated these last 5 weeks? And do you see them now as a different animal to we were talking back at that point in time?
Yeah, I think, Jonathan, if you go back to then, Rangers were struggling. You look at it right now, it's amazing what happens when you start to win games of football and the confidence comes back. I thought yesterday, we speak about Rangers and that run they've had apart from that, run of victories apart from the trip to Tynecastle. I've never felt as if they were in full control of a game of football. There's always been moments where you felt as if the opposition had a few chances. That was not the case yesterday. I thought it was as comfortable an afternoon or early evening as the Rangers have had, especially at Pittodrie. The last time they had a victory up there was 2022, Scott Arfield double late in the match. So for Rangers to go up there and put on the performance that they did, get the 3 points, it was a big win. I think after Hearts, been able to get the 3 points earlier on in the day as well. I think a trip to Pittodrie can always throw a spanner in the works, but it wasn't the case yesterday. Rangers ran out comfortable 2-0 winners. Could have been more. Probably should have been more, but Danny Rohl, he won't be getting carried away because he will know there is still a lot of hard work to be done. He's already got one in. I'd imagine there'll be another couple in soon. There's been links with other players. He knows he needs to strengthen this squad, but he also, I would imagine now, with Rangers sitting in second there, both teams, Hearts and Celtic playing in midweek, with Rangers now in the position they're in, he will know if Rangers can go and get a few players that can make the difference between now and the end of May, or the middle of May, Rangers have got a serious chance of winning this league.
It's been a fabulous run, John. Since the defeat at Tynecastle before Christmas, it's been a fabulous run. They've done everything you could have asked them to do. Yesterday, as Boyd says, they were in cruise control. Asgard scored. Fernandez scored. I don't know what David Dickinson and John Beaton are doing. They should watch Dimitar Mitov. He does that in every game. That's a goal for me, Fernandez. Then Tavernier scores a penalty, and it was as easy a game as Rangers will get at Pittodrie. Aberdeen have gone off a cliff. They've not scored in 6.5 hours. Dave Cormack and Lutz Pfannenstiel don't seem in any rush to appoint a new manager, which staggers me. They desperately need somebody in there. They were hopeless yesterday. They weren't very good at Ibrox, but to come back and perform like that in front of your own supporters on the Sunday afternoon, live in the telly, they have got big problems. The new manager has got big problems. It's not Danny Rohl's problem. Rangers went and won comfortably, and they can now, having had that tough spell since Tynecastle of fixtures, going to Celtic Park, going to Pittodrie, things on paper that look difficult. They've now got Annan in the Cup on Friday night, and I know what happened with Queen's Park last year. Annan in the Cup on Friday night, Ludogorets, and a meaningless European game. They can actually shuffle things around a little bit before Dundee come to Ibrox the next league game.
Yeah, you're 100% right, Roger. I think that Dundee game, Rangers obviously get 2 cup games before that, but Dundee, because Dundee, they're Stuffy outfit. We've seen it at Ibrox the last time, but you're then looking at Rangers again. And this is where I think if you're going to win league titles, it's games like that. That's coming up. It's all well. In the 5 wins in a row, it's put to bed now. You need to move forward. You're looking at Dundee, and then obviously the Porto game. But after that, a trip to Easter Road. Then I think it's Kilmarnock, Motherwell, and Hearts again. So the fixtures are going to come thick and fast for Rangers once they get out of this European, at the end of January, once the European games are, and they're all huge games. But listen, I think if you go back to, before this run started, I didn't see this happening. I didn't see it happening. I felt as if Rangers, if they clicked, they could win games, but they were dependent on individuals maybe doing something. If you go back to the Kilmarnock game, Bojan Miovski with Rangers ended up playing reasonably well that night, but it was Bojan Miovski's finish, and I know that's what he's there for. But the first goal was just out of nothing. He didn't even have the right to hit it. So I felt as if Rangers were always dependent on a moment of magic from someone. Now all of a sudden, set plays just seem to be Rangers' key to unlocking anybody. The amount of not only first contact, but if they don't do that, they're getting back in the box. They're asking the teams to defend again, and they are asking a lot of questions of the opposition from set plays. And look, I'm not against it. I listen to everybody go on about Arsenal making a big song and dance it. Roger, it's always been there. When you started covering games in the 60s, there was the set plays were huge as well.
Thanks very much, Bob Monkhouse. Actually look at the stats. I think Hearts have got more goals than Rangers from set pieces. So as crucial. Look at the goals. Craig Halkett last week against Livingston. Stuart Finley's got about 5 goals as well this season. So Hearts as well. They've got their own set piece coach, a bit like Scott Fry coming in from Lincoln to Rangers. People are focusing on it now because whether you like it or not, whether the purists like it or not, Boyd, it is a rich vein if you can hit it properly. A rich vein of scoring.
Roger, it's one of the best opportunities to score. It's you especially with corner kicks. If you've got a delivery, I know it was Conor Barron, but you see James Tavernier's delivery as well. If you can deliver a ball into an area, into as Magoma yesterday's as well with the cross for Asgards. So if you can deliver it into a place where your attackers or the boys in the box are going to be aggressive, they're going to go and attack it, then you've got a chance of scoring. But as I think Fernandes as well, he's a threat. Roger, I'm with you. I said that, and Chris Sutton was saying it's a goal, and I agree with you. We want to see that as a goal, but I think in Scotland the referees have been consistent with that one. The Dundee United the Kilmarnock Dundee United one, where the player had his hand across the Kilmarnock. It's the laws of the game. It was always going to be chalked off for me once I seen it from behind. Do I agree with it? No. But listen, we don't make up the laws of the game. And I think looking at it, they have been consistent. But I think that's a key thing for our officials in Scotland. The consistency, the handball, we'll probably touch on as well. It's a stonewall penalty. In fact, even if we go back to that, at Livingston Kilmarnock at the weekend, it's a red card inside the first 5 minutes. There's no doubt about that. And then it's a stonewall penalty for Livingston towards the end as well. So, it's not been... There's been weekends where I think we could praise VAR or praise a lot of them, but there's been some incidents this weekend that I don't think we can.
We'll certainly get into those ones a wee bit later, Boydie. Now, you mentioned that Jayden Magoma delivery from the set play yesterday. Tello Asgard, the player that got on the end of that, scored his 3rd goal in 4 starts. Also, he was one of the summer signings that had certainly taken a lot of flack, certainly on here, everywhere else pretty much. Most of them did because it simply wasn't working. Do you think he and some of the other players that have been signed this summer are standing up now and really answering some big questions when it matters? Do you think Kevin Fowler might be somewhere with pointing the finger going, I told you so?
No, I don't think so. If I was him, I'd be lying low still. Because, I think, let's be realistic, I think one man has dragged Rangers back into this title race. Danny Rohl has come up with solutions that has allowed Rangers, and I know the players have to go on the pitch and carry out those instructions from him, but one man has single-handedly dragged Rangers back into a title race. You look at even the tweak at Celtic Park to then go and get the performance that he did in the second half. So Kevin Thilwell should still be under the covers for the recruitment. Danny Rohl's been able to get a tune out of the majority of players that were really struggling. I'll say it again though, Jonathon. When you start to win games of football, players start to do things without thinking about it. And Tilo Asgard falls into that category because a lot of times, Roger, we've spoken about it. It was touch, whereas now there's a few things that just seems to be one touch and laying it off, getting in the box. He's now beaten on the score sheet. There is no doubt there's a player in there.
He needs to do more though, Boyd. It's not enough. You can't just turn up. You can't just turn up and score goals and do nothing else. I know you got away with it for years, but
I don't know for 15 years.
2026 it's not enough for Asgard. Listen, some of the big games, you need to remember the red card in the cup semi-final. He was hooked at half time at Celtic Park as well. He probably wouldn't have started yesterday had Connor Barron been fit and Chukwuani registration been through. So for me, listen, he took his goal well. I'm not sure who was supposed to be marking him, but for me, he still needs to do a wee bit more. But I know the point you're making, John. Some of the players, they are contributing more. McGowan is contributing more. Fernandez, folk will say he's a danger in both boxes, but he is contributing a bit more as well from the summer signings. But there needs to be more from Asgard.
I think, Roger, you made it. McGowan, I think, has done well for Rangers. I mean, there's no doubt for me when he was recruited in the summer, I don't think he was going to be Rangers' first choice in that left-hand side. For whatever reason, the players that were maybe looking to get in didn't want to come or whatever. But I don't think Jayden McGowan was brought to Ibrox to play every single minute of every single game. But I tell you what, he's done well. Considering when you think of people like Max Aarons and that, who have, will probably be on a lot more money, came with a lot or a bigger expectation and have failed so far. Jayden McGowan for me has just went about his work, and he is. At the start, you always felt there was a mistake in there, or he's learning, and we all know that at Rangers and Celtic, it's not really a place to develop and learn. But Jayden McGowan has done well for me this season, and especially in recent weeks as well.
Along with Boyd Chermiti. I thought Chermiti put in a really good shift again. He didn't get his goal. If he'd lifted that one over me, thought he might get his goal, and suddenly the narrative changes again. But I actually thought he put in a good shift for the team yesterday. And he has emerged ahead of Miovski and ahead of Danilo. You now really do see him as the number one centre-forward pick.
Yeah, I think on that, Roger, if you go back before, I'm not sure how many games it is he started in a row now, but if you go back to just a month ago, when Miovski had the couple of goals at Kilmarnock, he was the one that came in for maybe get 3 or 4 starts, scored a few goals. And that was one of the discussions, I think, that we had at the time. There wasn't anybody cementing their place as a number 9. And the manager was giving players giving a striker an opportunity, taking them back off. Someone was coming on. I think now he said, right, you're getting a run at it. Whether it's 4 or 5 games, and it's up to you to go and keep the jersey. Miovski, unfortunately for him, he got injured and had to miss a few games there. Chermiti's come in, he's got his goals, and you're right. I thought his work rate yesterday, even his hold-up play, I thought it was decent enough. There was a couple of times where he laid it off and tried to get himself back in the box. But again, Roger, as I've said, a couple of minutes ago, the Rangers are winning games of football. Players want the ball. They want to take part in the game. They feel as if they've built up that momentum. They're confident. They look a lot better as a team now than what they were a few weeks ago. And that's down to one thing, winning games.
Some rather unsavoury scenes at this game as well, Roger. There was lots of stuff being thrown on towards the players. Manuel Fernandez gets struck by something. No doubt there'll be more on that to come. Also, there was the incident after the game where Nico Raskin appeared from the tunnel and appeared to chuck water over an Aberdeen fan. We know cops are looking into that as well, incidentally. I mean, you can talk about the actual incident as much as you want, but I think as a manager, surely Danny Rohl's going to be raging at the fact a player getting involved in something like that more than anything.
Listen, the players should know better after the Chermiti incident at Celtic Park last season. Raskin should not have done that. The club should be dealing with it internally before, never mind the police, the SFA or the SPFL might well look at it as well and remind Rangers of the responsibilities of the players. There's very little you can do about supporters. I mean, it started within 2 or 3 minutes. The first time Bojan Miovski went to warm up yesterday, he was getting cups of stuff thrown at him. There was more cups getting thrown. I'm not sure whether it was a coin or some variety of missile hit Fernandez in the head as he celebrated the first goal. You need strong policing and stewarding, but what can you do? You can do something about Raskin.
But I think that's the thing, Roger. Fans, and I'm not condoning what Nico Raskin did, but you look at, fans think they can say and do anything in a football stadium, but as soon as football players say something or do something back to them, it's, the outcry is incredible. You look at, Fernandez getting scudded with coins, Miovski, out of the warm-up, as you say there, cups getting chucked off him as well. And then all of a sudden, listen, you can't do what Nico Raskin does, but it is a bit of water. You know what I mean? It is water. For me, I look at it and I just think, fans, and it's the same every week. It doesn't matter whatever ground you go into. They think they can shout and say and throw and do whatever they want to players. Players are human. They're going to react sometimes. That's just the nature of it. Listen, it's not what we want to see, but, fans, they provoke, they'll annoy the life out of people. They'll keep going. I know they want a reaction from them, but and as soon as something happens to them, it's a big outcry. But as I said, Nico Raskin should know better.
So the SPFL will probably crack down on this. I would think they'll take 5 home tickets off Aberdeen.
You what? Sorry, cut out there.
I'm saying that the SPFL will crack down on this, boy. They'll take 5 home tickets off Aberdeen.
The crowds are starting to dwindle away. It was empty yesterday after about 70 minutes.
We shall see what happens with that anyway. And just before we move on, expecting Jim Gillespie to be appointed Rangers' new chief executive before too long. Think that's a good appointment for them? I
think it's one they should have done in the first place. They've wasted, I'm not going to say, what is it, 14, 15 months since Patrick Stewart came in. They had to get rid of Patrick Stewart. Jim Gillespie was in the frame at the time. I think the Jim Gillespie deal will be concluded in the next day or two. He does a very good job at the charity at the Kibble. I think his business acumen was probably what attracted Rangers as much as his work as vice chairman of St Mirren. And you just wonder about St Mirren now. He's a key figure in there. I wonder if we'll look back in history, we'll say winning that Premier Sports Cup final last month was the peak for this current St Mirren side, and whether now they might be in for a period of hard. Bill, one of the sidebars in Bill Lecky's column today, just talking about when you get to that. Hey, look at Crystal Palace, FA Cup holders, and the tumble they've had. I just wonder about St Mirren.
Well, and their manager's been linked with a move away. Oliver Glasner, can we see the same with Stephen Robinson?
They're maybe linked with different jobs, Boyd, but something that actually wouldn't surprise me, because you listen to the post-match remarks of Stephen, sometimes the pre-match remarks from Stephen Robinson since the cup final. Yes, they've had injuries, but last week he was talking about getting 5 players in. St Mirren don't sign 5 players in a January window. So he'll just need to get on with what he's got. He'll need to get more out of the fringe players that he signed. But I don't think they'll get down. But they'll need to be very careful, because they've had some really miserable results since they won the cup final.
Well, the other game before Rangers and Aberdeen took to the field at Pittodrie, of course, on Sunday was Dundee against Hearts. Hearts winning this one 1-0. You have to say all the attention after this one, Kris, was in that incredible save from Craig Gordon right at the death to keep that 3 points intact. I mean, what more can you say about it? A really incredible moment, as good a save you're going to see, wasn't it?
Oh, it's incredible. I think even when you look at Dundee are away celebrating. They think it's in the back of the net. For Craig Gordon, I know he's a big boy and his wingspan is huge, but to get down there and get that away, it was an incredible save. But not only that as well. I think you would have seen. You might have seen a lot of goalkeepers get their hand to it, but it's not long. They've not got enough on it to get it out the back of the net. Craig Gordon was able to get it down there and get it away and clear. It was incredible. And Roger, you look at there's games over previous seasons where you think that was a big 3 points.
Yeah.
Yesterday had that feeling about it for Hearts, because I don't think they were at their best. I've said Dundee are a tricky team to play against. Stephen Presley might look back at it after the game and think, why did we keep putting crosses into the box, into the areas that we did, because Hearts were just mopping up all of that, clearing their lines.
It's 5 centre halves in the pitch at that stage.
You what?
5 centre halves in the pitch at that. So
but
near lumping
you know,
into the box.
A lot of managers will try and tweak things to try and be smart. It's one thing about Derek; he doesn't need to. I mean, if he needs his team to defend, they will defend, and that's exactly what they done yesterday at Dens. And it's a huge 3 points, and it was a really, really, really good goal for Claudia Braga as well. I know Dundee players switch off; they can moan about that all they want. It wasn't taken from the correct position, but you've got to stay switched on. You've got to realise that the danger. Or where the danger is, and as soon as Lawrence Shanklin got that ball in that hole, turned lovely ball to Claudia Braga. Yes, he got a little bit lucky with the touch, but take nothing away from the finish. I mean, it was an incredible strike, and I'll say it again, a huge 3 points for Hearts.
Yeah, and then now at home to a struggling St Mirren team on Wednesday night. You fancy them to win that, boy. They've then got the telly game on Saturday night at home at Falkirk in the Cup. If they're lucky, they'll get knocked out of the Cup so they can focus on the league.
So I mean, you speak about Wednesday night, it's huge. I mean, Celtic go to Falkirk, Hearts, St Mirren, and then they play each other when we come back after the Cup at Tynecastle. So, I mean, it's a huge couple of weeks now for Scottish football at the top end of the table. You know, I'm really looking forward to that game already. But you as I said, you look at Hearts right now, and I think it's a sign of a really good team when you don't need to be playing that well to win games of football. We've seen it before where teams come unstuck when they're not at their best. I mean, there's even the Livingston game. Livingston had a couple of opportunities at the end of the match against them. They were able to get that one over the line. You look at Dundee, and I know there wasn't clear-cut chances. Dundee didn't create many, but that save there, just getting the job done. And it was a huge 3 points for Hearts.
Imagine how happy Steve Clark was to see Craig Gordon making that save.
Oh, I know. Even just to get him on the pitch. It'd been interesting to see, you know, would Craig have played, you know, the cup game at the weekend? I know he's done that.
Yeah.
It might have been something that he would have, you know, Derek might have put him in for that, but he's going to get...
He's going to get a chance of 3 games in a week.
He's going to get minutes now. He's going to get minutes now. It was a red card though, yeah? We agree?
Oh, yes, it was a red card. Yeah. A red card. Fabulous save.
Yeah.
Number 1 for Scotland at the World Cup?
Well, yeah. If it's not Craig Gordon, I'm not sure who it's going to be. The other two goalies, I think, will go Liam Kelly, who can get a game at Rangers, and Angus Gunn, who can get a game for Forest Reserves. So I think it will need to be Craig Gordon.
World Cup on the horizon, of course. Now on Saturday, Martin O'Neill back in the Celtic dugout. I'm sure Celtic fans must have felt it was a bad dream, that few weeks of Wilfred Nancy's reign, because Martin O'Neill picking up where he left off before, getting Celtic back to winning ways.
Well, I'll let them into a secret. It was reality.
It very much was reality, unfortunately for them. But 4-0 win over Dundee United, Kris. Pretty comfortable for Celtic. What did Martin O'Neill change so quickly to get things to click after that nightmare few weeks?
I think obviously Maeda went back through the middle. Tanecki came in as well and was really good down that left-hand side. Kieran Tierney and Tanecki were very good. But, you know, just I think having that, when you've lost the amount of goals that Celtic have lost inside such a short period of time, to have that, you know, that solid back line back with Trusty and Scales there. I mean, listen, I think if you look at, there's a few teams here I wanted to have played, and Dundee United would have been one of them, especially at home. They don't really offer that much going forward. I think Jim Goodwin was able to tweak a few things at half-time at Tannadice a couple of weeks ago.
Celtic a fortnight ago.
Eh?
They beat Celtic a fortnight ago.
That's what I'm saying. You know, I think he was able to tweak a few things against Celtic at Tannadice a few weeks ago, and he got a response. But the first half against Celtic then as well was really, really poor. And you look at Celtic, the difference this time was they got the goal, they got the second one, and the game was out of sight. I mean, it could have been anything in the end up. But I think for Martin O'Neill, being at home, getting that victory, but he'll face a tough game on Wednesday night because Falkirk are no mugs.
But listen, it's not rocket science, Boydie. He's gone back in, he's played a back four, he's played 3 in the midfield, he's played a couple of wingers, and as you say, put Maeda through the middle.
Yeah.
You know, Scales is back in with Trusty. Hattati and Engels on either side of Callum McGregor. He's got Maeda through the middle. You know, I'm not kidding you, Boydie. You could have put me in charge of Celtic for those 8 games that Nancy was there, and I wouldn't have lost 6 of them. Because I would just have gone in and said, "Hey boys, So for it's what Bobby Williamson used to say.
That's a big shout. You can't even run the back pages of a newspaper, and you're telling us you can run a football team.
Don't you worry about that. You just say, listen, boys, same as Bobby Williams used to say to you, same team as last week, same subs, just do what you did last week. You're in the corners, you're in the set, you're free kicks, you're in the penalties, right, away you go. And Celtic would have picked up more points with those instructions than they did under Wilfred Nancy when he changed it all and wrecked it all. Martin O'Neill's just come back and just done what you would do, what Jonathon would do, what 60,000 Celtic fans would do. 4-3-3, because the players are there, the talent's there, it's always been there. It just wasn't allowed to flourish in those 8 games.
That's a shame.
Also, he went back to the back 4. Was he lucky before half-time it wasn't reduced to a back 3 by a red card? Julian Araujo, who'd been sent off in his only previous start this season at Bournemouth, should he have been sent off? Obviously, it was 2-0 at the time of that challenge, so it wasn't exactly match-defining, but should he have been sent off?
Listen, you can make an argument. You just look, we could probably make an argument with Brooklyn Kabongolo at Livi. It's one of them that he's been booked. They've had a look, and they've stuck with the decision. I don't think it's one of the huge controversies of the season.
It doesn't happen, does it? You don't get red cards at Celtic Park for the home team in the Scottish Premiership. 2022, David Turnbull, December the 24th, 2022. The last time Celtic had a player sent off at home. Wow. Incredible, eh?
Did that ruin your Christmas in 2022? Is that why you remember it so well?
No, I actually done my research yesterday because I had to go back that far to try and find it. Incredible, eh? And by the way, the game was done as well. It was 4-1. They were up 4-1 in St Johnstone that day as well. 95 minutes, David Turnbull sent off. Yeah.
No red card for Araujo. Also, a lot of focus on transfers as well, Celtic at the moment. Since we last spoke to you last Monday, Boydie, Kyogo was coming, and Kyogo didn't want to come anymore. That deal won't be happening. Then he went and scored for Birmingham on Saturday after his barren run. Kris, do you think this will be one Celtic will be disappointed not to get done? And also, just how crucial is it they get a striker and a decent striker in this transfer window?
Yeah, they need to get someone in. There's no doubt about that. You know, you look at, I know Maeda went back through the middle, but I do feel as if Maeda's far better off operating off the wing. But it might be something that Celtic have to use. Taneki's back in there. As I said, done really well at the weekend. Maeda gives Celtic something else through the middle. But, I mean, Martin O'Neill's not daft. He will know. In actual, I don't know when he'll be back, but you look at Maeda, it gives... Martin O'Neill will know that he needs to get someone in. Kyogo, I mean, I touched on it in my column on Friday. You know, you felt as if he was desperate to get away from Celtic. You know, but you felt as if this one was just a match made in heaven to bring him back because of, you know, the goals he had scored. I know he's had a barren spell since he's left Celtic, but you look at the way that this Celtic team plays, they still create chances. It would have been a good signing, but for whatever reason, it's not going to materialise. Whether it's Kyogo's not wanting to come back, whether it's Celtic have probably looked at his wages and thought, well, we were paying you X amount a few months ago. We're not going to pay you double that now to come and loan. So, you know, I think that you know, there is no doubt that Celtic will get a striker in. They have to. And that will be one of the areas that you know, Martin's looked to strengthen him.
Well, obviously, the transfer special, Celtic one coming Friday, Rangers one tomorrow, and in-depth all the deals as we tick down to the deadline. Another big game at the weekend in the top half was that showdown between Hibs and Motherwell, much anticipated. In the end, finished a 1-1 draw. Both of them be relatively happy with that result, do you think?
I mean, I was there for the Scottish Sun on Sunday. It was a deserved draw, and I don't think either manager could really lay claim to say they deserved the 3 points. Really good goal by Motherwell in the break, smart passing, good finish by Maswinise, summed up a lot of their good play. Kieran Bowie gets one at the other end, and it was just about right. There's not much between the teams at all. I think there's 2 points. Motherwell still head them in the race for 4th place. It will be an intriguing battle beneath the top 3 because genuinely I don't think there is much between them. I think it's a setback for Motherwell that Celtic have recalled Stephen Welsh.
What's going to happen there, Roger? Because he was linked with a move. Was it Aberdeen?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think Aberdeen were trying to pour cold water on that boy. Right. I think maybe Martin is. I think Celtic were maybe looking at a couple of defensive targets that have maybe no longer coming. So I think they maybe just want Welsh back to give them that extra wee bit of cover.
It's a blow for Motherwell because he's done really well for them, to be fair. He's done really well.
He's done better than I suspected he would do. He has done really well for them. It is a blow. Liam Gordon will probably come back in for the cup game against Ross County. And Elliot Watt, linked with Rangers, he's out injured. Stephen O'Donnell went off after 15-20 minutes at the weekend as well. Regan Charles Cook is out. So there's going to be a bit of pressure on Motherwell to go and get a couple of players in if they're going to keep pace with where they are in the league.
No, but I mean, obviously, he was back for the what do you call it, the St Mirren game as well. Mascherisi scored, but they'll be delighted just to have him back as well. How was his overall performance at the weekend?
Good player. Yeah, he's a good player. They played him through the middle, boy.
Did they lose him?
Could they? Uh-huh. Well, you're always following. He's a joint top scorer in the Scottish Premiership. He's in double figures now in the league. He's got 13 in all competitions. Yeah, of course they could.
Yeah.
And tucked in just behind Hibs and Motherwell now, Falkirk back in the top six. Obviously touched on St Mirren earlier. Falkirk beating them 2-0 away from home at the weekend. Falkirk 30 points. Kris 5 behind Hibs, 7 behind Motherwell as it stands. Do you think Falkirk will be looking a little bit higher, looking in front of them at this stage?
No. I think John McGlynn is a good operator. He will know that where Falkirk are right now, it's very difficult for them to go. We can't sit in here and say how good Motherwell have been. We can't sit here and say Hibs would have been far better. You look at the couple of points they've dropped here and there early in the season, they would be closer to the top three, and then say that Falkirk should be homing in on them. I think to come up from the Championship. Promoted to League One from League One the season before that into the Championship. So the rise from Falkirk has been incredible. The job that John McGlynn has done is that's incredible. But he seems to be getting the best out of players. You speak about going to St Mirren. It's a difficult place to go. 2-0. It could quite easily have been 3 or 4 at the weekend. That's how good they were. The chances they had. I mean, what a finish it was from Yates as well. The first for the goal, really, really clever goal. Then Calvin Miller, again, a player where you thought, he had opportunities, but could he have performed week in, week out at this level? I wasn't sure, because there was glimpses that he was a talented boy, but he's doing it. John McGlynn, for what he has built at Falkirk, I mean, it is incredible. And yes, it's easy when you look at the table and think, can we get to Hibs? Can we get to, Motherwell? But I think John McGlynn will be looking at it saying, the teams behind us, there's some big ones underperforming there. We're 5 points ahead of them. Can we just stay in there right now? If they can get top 6, I mean, let's be realistic. What was the first thought when they came up? Let's make sure we're a Scottish Premiership team next season. That's going to happen, and he'll be able to build again. But there is one thing. You look at Falkirk, you have to play well if you're going to get the 3 points from them, that's for sure.
Boy, the man's 64 years of age. If he was 44, he'd already be Aberdeen manager. They'd have been parading him last week. He has done an incredible job. Yeah. They were in League One less than 2 years ago. League One. And he's
and by the way, it was close enough they were going to, remember he done that hybrid thing at Wraith Rovers? Yeah. That was getting spoken about.
A lot of the same players, you talk about the developed Finn Yates goal, the way he's developed Finn Yates, Brad Spencer was in League One, Liam Henderson was in League One, Leon McCann, guys like that. He's got Keelan Adams from Cumbernauld Colts, he's got Barney Stewart from Heriot Watt University. He's transformed, as you say, the likes of Calvin Miller, and he's got a great recruitment as well. And I don't use me, Scott Bain's been a good recruit for Celtic, but everybody knew Scott Bain. The way he's managed to get guys from England to come in and slot into that system, Williams, Wilson, Lisa, Cartwright, all these guys have come in and they've all played their part. John McGlynn's management is second to none.
Falkirk currently the top 6. The other team that came up last season, Livingston, still rooted to the bottom of the table, Roger. We built up that game last week. Huge game at the bottom, Livingston. Neil McCann's Kilmarnock. Yeah. That one finished in a 1-1 draw as well. Is this one of those sort of draws where it doesn't really do either of them any good in the grand scheme, or
Listen, I think it's probably done Kilmarnock a bit of good because they are closer to St Mirren. They've got a point. I think, given they were only in a couple of days, I think Neil McCann and Billy Dodds will probably take it. Given that they were behind in the game, they'll probably take it. They desperately need a win. Will they get it in the cup against Dundee on Saturday? Listen, we need to wait and see. I think it was one that Livingston needed to win. They haven't won a league game, I think, since the 9th of August.
Yeah.
They were at home to the team closest to them. They had the lead in the game. I think it was one that I think is a missed chance for Livi. I think Killie will be happier with the point.
You look at, when's that game rescheduled for? That is it next week or the following week? Sorry, the one that was called off last, where Livingston St Mirren. That's going to be huge now as well.
Yeah, a couple of weeks time.
21st, isn't it? I think
21st.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be huge, isn't it? I mean, you look at Livingston. They do need to get that victory. As you say, it's been a long time since they've felt that winning. I had that winning feeling. But you're right, Roger. I think for Kilmarnock's point of view, when you look at going behind, there is no doubt it should have been a second yellow early on in the match. But I think when Neil McCann analyses the game as well, he will realise that his team are very, very lucky not to be. The penalty wasn't given against Brad Lyons. I think
even the one that came off the bar from Yengi.
Yeah. It was a good strike. That he was very unlucky. But Kilmarnock, I think the Max Stry, I think, is back running in that now. If they can get him back, that'll be a huge boost for them. I would imagine Neil McCann and Billy Dodds have went in there. Billy Bowie's someone who will back his managers. There's no doubt about that. You see the amount of transfers there's been at Kilmarnock. You'd imagine that Kilmarnock will get although at least try to get a couple of players in. They have to. Whether it's loans, they need to. There is a few players need to come in to help that group, and I still think Kilmarnock will have enough. The worst case they'll finish for me is that 11th spot. But if they can get a few players in, they have been close in games. So you feel as if Kilmarnock, if they can get a couple of players in, might improve. But where does that drag Dundee back into? There's a big gap now. 8 points is a big gap.
What a playoff final that would be. Kilmarnock against United. We need to do Ballistic live in those games.
Oh, you get your United scarf on?
Don't you worry. Don't you worry.
Yeah, there we go. I think that'll do us for this week, gentlemen. Hopefully I've not done anything with my voice this week to attract the attention of certain pundits from the late 90s.
See, you know when you've made it. When Tam Cowan starts talking about you on social media and winding you up for your delivery, you know you've become a big hitter in this business, Boydie, eh?
No. Did it hurt you? Did it hurt you?
Oh, no, not at all. Did I look bothered?
It was just because you had a wee high voice and you had a wee shout like that.
Right, away you go. Catch you here next week for more Go Ballistic after the big Scottish Cup weekend. We'll catch you then.